What would you ask one of the world's most famous artists if you had the chance? Well, now is your chance, because we would like to introduce to you sculptor and painter Pablo Picasso, who is going to join us and talk about art and his work. Mr. Picasso, thanks for joining us.
Oh, please call me Pablo. Everyone does.
Thank you.
Hi, Pablo. Joe.
Joe, nice to meet you.
Glad to meet you.
What do you think of Joe's work, Pablo?
I find it very interesting. You know, as a young man, I started as an impressionist, Cézanne being one of my favorite painters of all time. But I found it limiting. I found it not being able to speak enough about truth. My whole career has been seeking truth in nature, although it approaches it, and certainly I enjoy Impressionism quite a lot. It's not satisfying enough for me. I had I'm constantly reinventing my techniques and my styles to attack nature and to study it.
Some of the students who've called in this morning have asked about how do they use inspiration, and how do they if they feel confined and they can't move ahead with a project they're working on, how do they get rid of that writer's block or artist block? How did you handle some of that?
Do anything.
Do anything.
Do anything, but do is the answer. You don't have to like it. You don't have to sit and wait for inspiration is a mistake. Mm-hmm. You must try things. I made many, many paintings or sketches or drawings that went nowhere, and I gave up on them. But the idea of constantly trying, go, draw, anything, sculpt, get a piece of mud, make it into anything.
Do you think that trying led you into the abstraction that you ended up making you famous?
No. Well, all of my work is very different because it grows due to my search for the truth in the nature of reality. Even as much as, say, someone like Einstein, who was coming along early in the 20th century with his ideas of the fourth dimension and theories of relativity, art can show you exactly the same thing. A photograph of a place is nothing more than what light was reflected back to the camera, but we all know that there is more to an image than just what's reflected to your eye. There's feelings, there's investments, there's all other kinds of things, and that is the direction that my art took me, is a way to express that.
Joe, how do you feel about the work that Pablo has done? Do you think he went too far, or is it okay for him to explore it and go as far as he did into abstraction?
Well, there are no rules in art, and so everybody is an individual, and everybody can do it in an individual way. But each person is pretty well convinced about what he's doing or she is doing. Otherwise, that person would not be doing that.
Do you like Picasso's work?
No, I don't. It seems to me that, well, we all have different ideas about what beauty is. And I see a great deal of beauty in nature when I go outside. And what I try to do then is to create another beauty. It's a created beauty built on this natural beauty. And many of Pablo's pictures, I feel, are not beauty as I would define them. I'd define them as ugly, as a matter of fact, a lot of them.
But that would almost go to some of your feelings of people having two sides.
Absolutely.
Dueling natures of people?
Yes, I've known many people in my life and painted many women. And in my investigations, when I take on a subject, and all of my works are based on a subject, none of them come from my mind, I investigate it almost as a surgeon dissecting whatever. And what I have discovered, and if you could help me with this, Joe,
sure,
to show some of these photos of pictures that I have done that show two sides of people. These are all women, but how there is a beautiful side and there is also an ugly side to everything. There's a positive and a negative. And I try to show in all of my work, this is where it has led me, is to show all of those sides at once, to offer to the viewer.
So this is the dark side and the light side of perhaps human nature?
Exactly.
Not necessarily. You're pretty hard on women.
Well, yes. Women, I'm very fond of women and I'm very fond of painting them. But also...
This could be men, nature, our beings.
Certainly, it could be anything. It's, again, as the more you investigate any subject, the further you go into it, eventually you will find the opposite. of that subject. And that's what I'm trying to show in this art.
And you weren't really going for anything lush or beautiful. You were going for almost the bare bones
Reality,
of nature. How did, in using colors, why did you choose some of the colors that you did? For their vibrancy, for their adding to the duality?
Because I like them.
Because you like them. How do you feel about being famous? And did you think you'd be famous?
Am I famous? I don't know. I don't care. I work. I paint. My life is an investigation of reality. And with success or not success, no change would be.
Would you call yourself bohemian? Living a bohemian type lifestyle?
Well, I suppose so. I live in my chateau in Cannes in France, and we have very little things in there because I work. That's what I do. I work in my studio, and that's what I do. I need very few things. I made some dishes for us because I like them. I painted some of our furniture because I like it that way. But I really don't have many objects, much.
What about failures? And I'd like to ask you and Joe, did you do things that you didn't like that people might consider an artistic failure, and did you think they were a failure?
Of course, of course. I made many projects that went only to a sketch or even all the way to fruition, and then turned its back to the wall in my studio, and there it sat.
Of course, later on, people found those paintings, and they're considered great parts of a collection of great works of art. Do you like that?
So.
Do you like the fact that maybe your seconds or your ones you didn't like are now considered masterpieces, perhaps?
I suppose it's funny. No, I still don't like the paintings. No. If others like them, then fine. That's fine with me. If people appreciate that and want to enjoy it, perfectly all right.
Joe, have you ever done paintings that you didn't feel that you felt might have been failures, or that people viewed as failures, but you thought they were just fine?
Yes, I get quite a few failures. And when you start out, I used to get maybe one keeper out of every 10. And I might be down now to maybe 2 out of 5 or something like that. So I have a lot of throwaways.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And that goes to try something new. If one thing didn't work, then try another.
Yes, you're a new person every day, every moment. You're greater than you were from birth to death. And you need to keep reinventing yourself every day and exploring and asking yourself the same questions over and over again. It offers you a way to grow. And like I said earlier, if you're stuck, paint.
Right, keep doing.
It doesn't matter.
Have you both done works that you wouldn't want to part with, or did you feel everything you did you wanted to send out and share with the world?
Oh no, I had several pieces that I loved very much. Some steel sculpture that I've done that I want to be in my garden because I love them.
And Joe?
Yes, you get a few keepers every year. Yeah, once or twice or 2 or 3 times during the year, you get one that's better than you thought that you could do.
Joe, do you think you can handle being as famous as Picasso, if that ever came to it?
No, probably not. I'm not looking forward to that at all.
And your paintings are still being discovered. In the newspaper today, there was an article about using infrared cameras to find your work. There's a great obsession with your work. Do you like that people are obsessed in your fame?
Not really, no. I never dealt much with society. I like to just do my work on my own. And as for the information in the paper today, many times I would find a canvas, paint a canvas and not like it, and so rather than waste it, paint over it because I didn't like it. Now the people are saying, well, now there's 2 paintings here. Well, that's up to them. The pieces are out in the world now, and they don't belong to me anymore, and people can do what they wish with them.
We have a question from a student, Deandra, I believe is the name. Good morning. What's your question? Did we lose her? There she is. Is it Deandra?
DeAndre.
DeAndre, what's your question?
Do you ever get bored of painting?
Certainly, and then I'll sculpt or make a lithograph or weld some metal sculpture.
Do you ever do anything outside of art? If you're stuck on something or you just want to put it away, do you do something else? go for a walk, try something completely different?
In the summertime, when my children were young, they would come when they were out of school, and then we would play every day, all day.
Take a break from
And we would
from
play.
the work?
Just play, yes.
And Joe, what about you? Do you ever do anything completely away from art to give yourself a break?
Yes, I read and write and so on. Used to jog and yeah, I do have some other
And
things.
so that's good. It's good to do something maybe completely different. Pablo, if you could talk about the periods and how your art, you talk about evolving and constantly changing. Your art kind of got labeled into periods or types of art. Do you agree with those periods of art?
Well, I went through the so-called blue period of 1900 to 1904, something like that. I was just inspired to paint in blue. That felt right to me. And then into the red period and on into a constant exploration into the duality of personality, and to the point where, as Joe was saying here, it's very important that in Impressionism one pay very close attention to the direction of light and the three-dimensionality and perspective of a painting. But I became a little bored with that and wanted to see the back side of the house and the front side of the house and all at once. And that eventually led into what Matisse called cubism. I never made that word up, but
if I could stop you here for a minute, we have a teacher from a local school who has some questions from her students from Steinbeck School. What's your question?
Yeah. What do you mean when you claim there are two sides of a person, and how can I learn to see those differences?
What do you mean by when you say there are two sides to someone, and how can you express that?
Well, everyone has, everyone's been happy and everyone's been mad. And I try to show both of those sides at the same time. The technique grew a little further to the point of what was called cubism, of opening up all sides. If you have a house and there's a backside to it and two ends and a front, I would open up all of those sides and let you see all of those sides, because there's something of information there to be had. And that's what you get into some of my what are referred to as cubist works, where many aspects of a particular picture are realized.
I hope that answered the question, and thank you both for being here and talking about both of your works. We're out of time, and we'd like to thank our artists who have been with us, our student artists who are Monterey County Homeschool students, and Mr. Pablo Picasso for joining us, and Joe Nordmann for showing us the 4 principles of landscape painting. We'd like you to join us for our next Life in the Arts program, which is May 20th, and that will feature Bill Stone and a tour of the Carmel Art Association. So until then, remember, there is a life in the arts, and the arts are alive. Bye-bye.